This is Meshi with Path to Wellness with Meshi. I'm so glad that you are here today. We're going to be chatting about the new moon, the moon cycles, and we're going to be creating our new moon ritual. As today, we are now entering into another cycle of the new moon. I figured what better way than to just bring you into my world and actually learn how we can create a new moon ritual. So I will walk you through sort of how I do my setup and the type of meditation that I will be using, and the crystals that I'm using and why I'm using them. So I will sort of show you the full lowdown of all of that. And if you're brand new to understanding the moon, then you are in the right place, because we're going to be chatting about that as well. Just a friendly reminder, if you are brand new here on my channel, I post regularly here about eco-living, about a holistically driven lifestyle. I chat with you a little bit about things such as this, about spirituality, about journaling, but anything and everything that allows you to live a more conscious and more intentional life, then we're going to be covering that here. So I have created something very special for my YouTube community to make life just a little bit easier, a little bit more manageable. If you're finding that you are interested in a few of the things that we're chatting about, but you don't quite know when I'm releasing what, I have created a weekly roundup of like the full summary of what actually the videos that I release. I do a full recap on it, and I send that out to my email community once a week. So if you're finding that you're looking for certain videos and when I'm going to be releasing them, then that would be the absolute best place to find it. That's also a place where I'm going to be showing you and just providing you with special offers or early releases, discounts. That would be the place that you can find that. So if you're interested, I left a link down in the description so you can sign up for it. Let's get started with the video. I wanted to talk to you about the new moon today, which is slightly different than some of my other videos that I have done recently. I wanted to talk to you about cycles first. So if you're brand new to following the moon or you're not really understanding why you should, I'll just give you a quick breakdown here. Basically, when everything works in cycles, so everything in your life works in cycles. And if you've heard me talk briefly about energy and you understand that everything that you touch, everything that you come in contact with, and you yourself, you are made up of energy. And so the whole idea of following the moon and following the cycles and living cyclically in a cyclic way is basically for you to be more in tune with your surroundings, more in tune with Mother Nature. And when you are, then things just sort of shift, and you actually end up preserving energy when you need to, and you end up gaining more energy because then you're more precise, you're more focused, and your aim becomes more sharper than when you're just living, just by default. And I can completely attest to that, because we are not designed to constantly push. And when we live in a society that constantly encourages us to push, and to constantly be producing and constantly be churning and turning content over, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a mom, whether you are a girlfriend, a wife, whatever the role it is that you're playing in your own life, the idea of constantly consuming more and never resting, it sort of ignores the cyclic living. So I wanted to take a moment to really talk to you about that, because once you understand that everything is a cycle, and so that means that there's going to be a beginning, like you're basically going up, and then you're coming down, but it's always in a continuous cycle. And then once you understand that part of it, then you're not going to be wasting energy on things that are not really going to be producing you the best results. Hopefully that makes sense. But an easy example that I have is if you're looking at the seasons. So we go through 4 different seasons, which means that there's a beginning, there's a middle, and then there's an end of each cycle. So if you're looking at fall, there's a beginning of fall when we're just turning out from, we're just saying goodbye to summer. Then the leaves change, then like the behavior of animals changed, Mother Nature changes, and so our behavior changes as well. Well, the moon cycles are no different, except the moon cycle runs on a different time period than the seasonal cycles. But the only thing that I want you to really understand here, now that I really like hammered it in you, is that everything works in cycles, and so do humans. And the moment that you realize that, then that way you can be extremely strategic in the way that you design the things that you do, the way that you design how you want to live, and you're not going to be spending and wasting energy when really that's not the cycle that you're in at, and it's not the season that you're in at the moment where you really need to be pushing. So now here we are. So what does that mean when it comes to the moon? So the moon is in alignment with the sun at the moment. So at this point it's going to be completely dark. So today marks the first day of the new moon for this cycle, which means that this is the time when we get quiet. This is the time where when you're looking at the moon, if you were to look outside tonight, you're going to see complete darkness. And the reason why it's complete darkness is because it's just starting to gain light. So as it's starting to gain light, it's sort of, you can relate that back to gaining momentum, taking each step by step towards whatever you want to manifest. So when you're looking at, okay, well, how does the new moon and how does the moon relate to me? How will that make sense in my health? How will that make sense in my life? How do I apply this? Like, what is this jam about? And will that take long? Okay, so first of all, it will not take long. It's really whatever job you give it. If you want to ignore the cycles of the moon, you totally can. But I mean, you clicked on this video, so might as well just kind of discover this. But if you want to understand the cycles of the moon, it's very simple. It goes through 8 different cycles, and right now we're entering into the starting point. So the starting point really represents darkness. It means quiet, it means going within, and it really means a fresh start. And it also means that you get the opportunity to set your intentions, and you get the opportunity to really get clear on what you really want to manifest for the next month, for the next cycle. And once you're clear, I mean, if you have watched recently my recent video on the Plan With Me video that I released, then it sort of shows like monthly goals and things like that. I will link it in the description so you can take a look at that in case you missed it. But this is slightly different than just setting basic goals for the month. This is really when you dig deep and you get to the root of your core desires, of what you truly, what your soul is asking you to manifest in this lifetime, in this body for the next month. And once you get clear on that, this is why we need to create a ritual around it, because yes, you can just sit down and write it down, or yes, you can just think about it for a couple of minutes and then move on, and you can make it as easy as that, or you can make it as intricate and as detailed as what I'm going to be showing you in my own ritual. Here's what I know. The moment that you create a ritual around something, it becomes extremely sacred. And when something becomes sacred, it gets registered into your mind and into your subconscious mind and into your short and long-term memory as a completely different thing. So everything is neutral in energy, but until we give it a meaning. So in our case, the new moon can really truly represent a fresh start, a beginning, a starting point of whatever we want to manifest. And maybe it's just the next stepping stone for a lot of us. If you have been working on a project, or if you've been working on a dream or a goal that you really wanted to manifest, then each step is sort of getting you closer, but it also allows you to sort of reflect and see how you've done. We're going to affect all of our senses. So we're going to affect our hearing, our sense of smell, our sense of touch, tactile, our vision. Want to create an environment where all of your senses are involved, and that way you are in a calm, peaceful place where you can really tune in, you can really get quiet, you can close your eyes, and you can really tune in to whatever you're trying to download. But basically, it's slightly different than your normal meditation if you do have a meditation practice. Here, the idea is to get really clear really zoom in on what we truly want, and we get really intentional about what we want to manifest. And then that way, our next step is going to be to actually put it into writing, and then that way we can start working on it. Because keep in mind, you just actively thinking about it, it's nice, but that's a dream. The dream becomes a goal the moment that you write it down, especially when you share it with someone. And then when you start breaking down into chewable bite-sized pieces and you take action on it, then it becomes a plan. And it becomes reality once you actually start taking action towards that. Now let's go into my meditation space, and I will show you how to go through the actual new moon ritual. So let's go. So for the items that you're going to need, you'll need your planner, obviously, your sage stick. If you wanted to use an oracle card or your tarot card or your intention card, you can definitely do that. I'm going to be using here my John Holland Psychic Tarot card. And then of course, if you have just a small little tray or just a small little plate that you can set up your altar. And we will go through like the different items that I'm going to be adding in there. So I'll explain them one by one in a moment. And you will also need a candle, a soy-based candle if you can. As well as I'll also be using an incense. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to grab my tray, and then we'll just start adding our items one by one. I kind of like building it bit by bit. So I started off with like a yellow and pink rose petal, and I've also added my clay intention bead. And here, this one is just a little clip of the Daniel Laporte planner that I had. And here I am adding my Wanderlust pin that actually represents the true north, as well as just a small little meditation bead that I have, that rose quartz bead. I really like those small little beads because you can actually just use them as a tactile check-in. And then one more rose petal here. This one is dark, deep red. I really love that color. So now I'm just moving on to just lighting up the incense, just so that it not only sets the mood, but I absolutely adore the scent of these natural incense. And I also have my candle. So this one is a petite grain basil candle. It's a soy-based candle. And candles generally not only set the mood, they have a much gentler scent, but also it just represents peace. So it automatically sets the mood here. And I'm just adding one more crystal here to the little altar that we'll be using. Now it's time to actually cleanse everything. So just grab your sage stick, light it up. I only lit it up just like a little bit so that it's not like as you can tell, it's not a crazy amount of smoke, because you don't want the fire department coming out. We want to make sure that we not only cleanse the space, but we're also going to be cleansing our stones as well. And I'm also going to be cleansing my clay bead as well, just to make sure that it cleanses off of any energy that it may have held on to in the past. And now once we've done that, it's time to also cleanse the room. And I had one more crystal left over, so here is my clear quartz. Now it's time to cleanse yourself. So here I just sort of directing, in hindsight I should have actually just used a feather or my hands to direct the smoke, but sometimes you just really don't want to. I personally don't want to, so I make sure that the smoke goes all the way around me. Thank God that I did not burn myself, so that kind of worked out. And now here we go. I'm setting up my phone so that it's actually playing a guided kirtan meditation, and just hanging on to my crystals. The breath. I put down the crystals just so that they can just work their energy around me. So once our meditation is completed, I grab my tarot cards, and what I really like to do here is, well, the book falls out, but make sure that you give it a really good shuffle, just so that you can actually just reset its energy. And then I like to sort of break it into, I like to break them into threes, like into three separate little decks here. So I'm just gonna cut the deck, and I'm going to start on the right and then the left, meet in the middle, and just space them out. And I'm going to pick 5 cards. I'm not sure why I went with 5, but I remember one of the readings that I've done where you can pick 1, you can pick 3, you can pick 11, like you can do a full reading if you'd like. I went with 5 just because in that way it not only shows you right now, it shows you the immediate future, the immediate past, and then long-term past, long-term future. So I sort of felt drawn to that. So I pulled the cards, I put everything else away, and then I grabbed my candle, again, just to get centered, and I grabbed my journal, and I created a quick spread here for the new moon intentions. So I'm going to be using that to just write down the cards, write down my emotions about each of the cards that I pulled, and then anything and everything that has come up right now, and anything and everything that is coming up for me after the meditation is completed. Because really, that's where the true magic happens, when you not only write down your intentions, you write down the cards that you pulled, any visualizations that may have come up during your meditation, as well as, you know, really, like, what are your true intentions? What would you like to have come to fruition in the next month, and why is that important to you? And the more detail that you can add, the more vivid you can make this, obviously the closer you can get, and the closer you can connect to source, the closer you can connect with the universe. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you sticking around here with me, and I hope that you found this video helpful and useful. And if you did, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you have a new moon ritual, or if you have been following the moon, and how is that different from mine. And if you are using crystals, what kind of crystal is your favorite for this month? Because I'm always looking, and I'm always interested in finding out what other people are into at the very moment. But let me know if you're feeling any different, or if you are excited for this new moon. And as usual, don't forget that the link is down in the description. If you wanted to get my weekly recap videos, and you wanted to get on that list where I offer exclusive offers, behind the scenes, some bloopers, and also if you wanted to just get the best of every video that I release on a weekly basis, if you wanted to get on that behind the scenes email recap, the link is in the description. But thank you so much for sticking with me, and keep seeking wellness, seekers, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.